Chief Prosecutor Susan Zeiderveen, at which time a search warrant was issued. Our detectives from our office then put together an operational plan, a tactical plan, a contingency plan, and then executed the warrant. Surveillance was done. The suspected vehicle used to transport the victim from Washington to here was observed on the property. Detectives observed several individuals on the property inside residences, as there were 3 homes on the property. Detectives did confirm the suspect was in one of the residences. Detectives had the local police agency, which were in uniforms and marked cars, roll in with them and execute the search warrant. Once the search warrant was executed, all individuals were then separated so that the detectives could start the interview process. The suspect immediately said she was there to the detectives that was talking to him. However, once they read Miranda, he lawyered up right away and wouldn't speak anymore. Additional family members did cooperate with our detectives on the victim's location on the property. They also confirmed to our detectives that she had been there for approximately 3 weeks. Once detectives found out her location, they went and entered the structure and located the victim immediately. The investigation continued, and the victim was taken into protective custody and turned over to CPS. The law enforcement agencies working this case in Washington was contacted with the outcome, and to say they were ecstatic's an understatement. They then, in turn, contacted the parents, who immediately flew to Michigan to be reunited with their child. I personally cannot thank everyone who was involved in this case and could not be more proud of the staff here at the Van Buren County Sheriff's Office. I would also like to give a shout out to our prosecutor's office. They jumped on immediately and no doubt will handle things professionally on their end. I personally would like to see this case used as a champion to hold all app and tech companies accountable for hundreds of thousands of kids consistently being groomed on the internet. My hope is that this case will open and make real changes happen. These safeguards on millions of products in this world, there are safeguards on millions of products in this world, but yet websites are still readily available to our children at the touch of their fingertips. I ask you why? Why is there a website like this when used in this case where it's okay for a kid to get on this website and talk to a total stranger? I would love to have the company defend why that's a good idea. The victim got on a particular chat platform and the suspect made his initial contact with her there, and that's when the grooming started. I've seen it over and over that nothing good comes out of a child opening up an app and talking to a total stranger on a computer. How many times have we all heard that he thought she was my age, she thought he was my age, I thought they cared for me, and then here's what transpires out of it. Censorship is used consistently on political platforms. Certain individuals are blocked from using them, but yet a convicted sex offender has 0 restrictions on the internet. By God's grace, this victim was able to be united with her family, alive, and able to recover from what she went through over these past 3 weeks. Not every victim can say that nor walk away from something like this alive. The suspect is being arraigned today on 9 felonies in our counties. You want to read them?
Sure. As Sheriff Abbott has said, he's being arraigned at 1 o'clock today in the 7th District Court West. There are 2 counts of human trafficking of a minor. Those are both 20-year felonies. 2 counts of using a computer to commit a crime, 20-year felonies. 1 count of criminal sexual conduct in the 1st degree, possible life sentence. 3 counts of criminal sexual conduct in the 3rd degree, 15-year felonies, and 1 count of accosting a child for immoral purposes. We fully intend on pursuing this prosecution, as Sheriff Abbott said, in a professional way. We have met with the family, and we will be doing everything that we can to hold this suspect accountable for these crimes. And so it will start today at 1 o'clock.
And to go a little further on the prosecution, the prosecutor's office is also working with the prosecutors over in Washington, the state of Washington. So not only will he face criminal charges in Michigan and Van Buren County, he'll also face them out there in Washington. And the prosecutor's office is working in correspondence with them. At this time, I want to bring the victim's mother up. She would like to give some statements to the media.
Hi, I want to thank everyone for being here and allowing me to have this opportunity. I'm here primarily for two reasons. Most importantly, I get to bring my daughter home. I want to extend my most heartfelt and sincere thanks to all those far and wide that have helped make this possible. This rescue would not have been possible without all of those efforts. And I want to thank Van Buren County as well for their amazing efforts for stepping in and rescuing her. Fortunately for us, she's coming home safe. The past 3 weeks have been nothing short of nightmare, and one I hope no other parents have to experience. This is a call to action. This predator was able to use social media platforms to reach my child from across the country. He was able to use these platforms to groom my child over an extended period of time. How many more children have to be victimized before these social media platforms are held to a higher standard? How many more families have to suffer the way mine has? The lack of accountability not only puts my child at risk for online predation, but leaves all children at the mercy of those who seek them out online. This is a time for change, and I hope that there's more people who are lucky to come home safe, but unfortunately not everyone has that story. Thank you.
As you guys all know, this is an active investigation. We can't disclose much more details than what we just did today. For obvious reasons, you guys have all been in the media for years and you know why. We can try and field a few questions, but to be honest, we're not going to be able to answer a whole lot, if any at all.
As far as the platform that this suspect used, was it one that is commonplace or one that is considered on the dark web, so to speak?
That particular platform has been removed since this, but there's a lot of platforms just like this platform was used that's still out there.
And did the suspect contact the victim from Michigan, drove out there, and so on and so forth?
Want to answer that? No, we're not going to get into the nuts and bolts.
Was there a ride-share program involved?
As far as?
As far as what we learned that the suspect ordered a ride for the person who woke up.
You obviously read Washington's news release.
Let's go back to when you go to the home and you're involved. First of all, multiple turnarounds. You're contacted on Wednesday. By Thursday, you have this suspect in custody. When you go to the home, you mentioned understanding or determining that he is there. What goes into determining he's there and then conducting that warrant?
So actually Wednesday night we had him in custody. The only reason we didn't do a news release and get with all you guys yesterday is because they were still tying up a lot of ends. As you guys know, the prosecutor's office is handling a high-profile case right now on trial. We wanted to make sure we had all our ducks in a row and didn't misspeak to the media. As far as that night, the detectives went out, surveyed the property, surveillanced it, to get as much intel as they could before they executed the search warrant. We use overhead maps. We have a lot of technology on who's at that property, what it even looks like before we even get there. So they knew where to set up. They knew how to monitor the property before the search warrant's executed. I can tell you, if the suspect vehicle wasn't there and there's a question if he was there, we would have waited for him to return because he was obviously the main target at hitting this, along with the 14-year-old victim. So once they knew the vehicle was there, even though they didn't lay eyes on her, there was a good chance she was at the property. And that's when they activated and executed the search warrant.
And you're calling him a convicted sex offender. Do you know where those convictions or where those crimes took place?
I personally have not run a history on it.
And when you guys located the victim, what was her current state? Were there any injuries? Did she seem okay? Can you go into that?
I would rather not talk on behalf of a juvenile.
How do you make sense of a convicted sex offender who has prior history and is on the list in this state still doing allegedly what this is in another state?
That's the beauty of the internet for these predators. They can get on a platform and groom children just like this one. And that's why I hope, and I'm not just saying that earlier about use this case as a champion, but it's got to start somewhere. We've all heard the conversation for years about something's got to be done, but yet nothing's getting done. You can censor certain individuals on any internet platform. Tell me why there can't be legislation coming out of Washington, D.C. Once you're convicted of a sex crime, you have zero access to an internet, certain platforms. And if they do get on it, let the prosecutor and law enforcement have something they can sink their teeth in to prosecute these individuals.
You talked about there's more than one individual at the property that the search warrant was executed on. Is there more than one suspect expected out of this?
As of right now, no. Could more be charged? That's up to the prosecutor. It depends on how it all unfolds, as it's still unfolding, what they find.
And we're still waiting. We're still in an ongoing investigation.
And then, is this local to just the suspect, or is this a part of a broader ring, entity, crime enterprise, so on and so forth?
We're still peeling back the onion. There's a lot of layers to this case. It's not uncommon in a case like this, when you start digging into it, you find other victims coming forward.
Two counts of human trafficking. Can you say why that is?
I can't really go into the details of what the charging decision entails at this time, because I would have to go into some of the investigation. Thank you, though.
Was the suspected vehicle affiliated with the rideshare app at all?
The only thing I'll comment on the suspected vehicle is we know it went out to Washington and back. Fair enough.
Has the rideshare app used and contacted at all regarding this case? Have they cooperated with the investigation, responded in some way?
Certain stuff. A lot of that stuff we can't disclose because it's going to come out in a trial if it goes to a trial.
So he's charged, or he will be charged, presumably in Washington as well. How does that work when you have two different states
You want me to answer?
and a
Got
man
it?
facing several felonies?
We're going to be working with them. Ultimately, the charging decisions that they make, we're going to be for actions that are taken in Washington. So my charging decisions and our office's charging decisions all relate to what happened in Van Buren County. So it could be different on both. We will certainly cooperate together and work together and keep each other informed. And at one time, we'll have to coordinate probably court hearings and that sort of thing.
From talking to your counterparts in Washington State, but also the fact that the FBI was contacted your squadron, is it possible that the suspect will face federal charges?
That's up to the FBI. Yeah, that's up to them and what they decide to do. Right now, we're just concentrating on the state charges.
Is there anybody here from the FBI?
Nope, they were invited, but they said just give them a shout out and appreciate it. I think they would have flew from Washington if it was in the summer, but hey.
Michigan in the winter.
Can you say, I know you said you don't want to speak for her, but can you say how she's doing? Is she safe returning to family on their way home?
What I can say is the family's elated that they're getting to take their daughter home and the healing process can start taking place. And she's safe, and that's the bottom line right now. And that's obviously the end result we were all hoping for with something like this.
Can you speak as far as, like, she is safe now, was, like, throughout the entire course of her missing disappearance, she was held at her will, and so on and so forth?
The only thing I'll comment on that, to my knowledge, she never reached out to the family or anybody during the whole incident. So there's a lot of details that's going to unfold as it continues on.
And as far, you said 3 weeks was how long she traveled from Washington State to Michigan, but the January 6th was when she was last reported. Is there, what can you disclose as far as what was going on between her and the suspect and anybody else involved, if possible, during those 6 days, if that checks out?
I mean, you guys can connect the dots. It was all done on the internet back and forth.
Can you just maybe, for parents who are listening, give any signs to look out for of your child potentially being a victim of this or being groomed?
Time after time, monitor what your kids are doing on social media. If they get mad at you, it is what it is. Because at the end of the day, I think most parents would say they would rather have a mad child than a child that has to go through this or winds up missing and never recovered. You see kids that start having different types of behavior, standoffish, not wanting you to get on their social media, those are red flags. I can tell you we've got several resource deputies in our school system here. We send them to school to look for that. Our detectives all get trained on that. Our deputies all get trained on that, just for looking for stuff like this, indicators like this, so that we can keep the public educated, the parents educated. Lord willing, we never have to have another press conference like this for that reason.
You've hinted at this should end, rightfully so, convince and encourage victims to come forward in any sense of this crime. you could not disclose about suspects, but are there possibly more victims related to this particular suspect?
Right now, we don't know, but it's not uncommon. Once you guys report this story, his name gets out there, his profile gets out there, it's not uncommon at all to where victims start coming and contacting our office or the prosecutor's office. And I can tell you, we will dig into that twofold, and if there are more victims, I encourage them to come forth. Come forth immediately on that. Let us do our jobs and let us put justice where it's seen fit.
Can you confirm the person's name since he's about to be arraigned, or is that something you'll be able to send out maybe, or what's happened?
Yeah, it's in a public document.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
You can pronounce it, I can't.
I cannot.
You know the name that's hard to pronounce?
How do you say it?
Ferguson.
So it's Keith Daniel Ferguson.
Ferguson?
Ferguson.
Not,
Common spelling.
not Ferguson, F-R.
That's how you say it, I think, yes.
So,
Yeah.
Ferguson.
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 Yeah. You guys all had it last night when you kept reaching out. I just couldn't confirm it by Michigan laws. Washington laws are different, and I appreciate you guys understanding, but Washington laws are different. We can't release a person's name until they've been arraigned unless there's a warrant for their arrest already, which in this case there wasn't.
Yeah. And we have public documents that are already authorizing it, so I don't have a problem releasing the name at this point.
And you're going to see him in 25 minutes.
So again, the pronouncer's Ferguson.
Man, you can pronounce it however you want and just go with the flow.
I have a hard enough time with Zydervine, so.
Are you guys able to comment further on situation in Washington? Did he come to her home? How did he meet her in Washington?
I'm not going to comment on it.
Yeah, unfortunately, we can't say anything on that one, sorry.
Yeah, because if we give you the wrong information, then a trial goes to Washington, it could be spun around.
Do you know when that first contact was made? Was it weeks, months ago? Or?
You do?
I think it's still part of the investigation.
It is, yeah. So we do?
But it was before January 6th where she was reporting missing.
Yeah.
Have you seen the communication going back and forth, and will that be part of the case, could you say? Or?
If it all goes to trial, I can tell you the prosecutor's office, our office, I'll bring it to light and it'll all come out in a trial.
Did the two have any prior connection, or were they just meeting online for either
They met on a social platform.
romantic interest or just friendship or anything?
They met on just a platform where strangers get to talk to strangers, and it spiraled from there. You guys good? All right. So you guys can hang out here, do what you got to do, and thank you all for coming. And I had the Zoom link, but I guess you don't need it because we were able to pull it up down here.
Nice to meet you.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Stood by Kyle for. Oh yeah. Sure. Sure.